I want to call to order the November 19th meeting of the Ascension Parish Council. I would like everyone to please stand for the invocation, and please remain standing for the pledge to be given by Eagle Scout Charles Hoopy. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for taking us through the latest rain event unscathed. We ask that you continue to watch over the people of Ascension and the people in the United States and all over the world. Lord, let us try to get the anger out the way and let peace have a chance. With special blessings, we ask that you look upon the Wild family for the loss of Mr. Matt Wild, and that you look upon the Lolong family for the loss of Mr. Boo Lolong. And Lord, we ask that you look upon the Macaluso family for the loss of Miss Carrie Macaluso, grandmother of our engineer, Mr. Mike Enlow. And Lord, we will stand for a second, and I ask any special intentions or private intentions, we hear the prayers of the people. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Amen. Mr. Hooper.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charles. Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that Councilman Lohr, Councilman Dempsey Lambert, and Councilman Todd Lambert are not with us tonight. Chair's additions, there's none. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in, and you'll be given time to speak when that agenda item comes up. We'll move into our presentations. Parish President, we have a proclamation for Van Lambert Day, November 19, 2015. Mr. Van Lambert, can you come to the front, sir?
All right, Van, welcome. I've been knowing Van all my life. He's been a friend to not only a lot of folks in this room and around the parish, but he's done a lot of good things and always had the parish in mind. And Van, you've always volunteered, done your part, and we really appreciate it. So that's why we want to give you a proclamation today. Thank you. To proclaim Thursday, November 19th, 2015, as Van James Lambert Day in Ascension Parish, whereas Van James Lambert was born in Sorrento, Louisiana on April 23rd, 1949, to Cecilia and Raymond Lambert, and whereas, as a lifetime resident of Ascension Parish, Van's tenacious and dedicated nature was evident when he earned the rank of Eagle Scout before graduating first of his class at East Ascension High School in 1967. While also being a three-sport letterman. And whereas Van also attended Northeast Louisiana University on a football scholarship and led it 4 years and was named team captain and team MVP, while also earning a place on the all-academic All-American team. Whereas upon graduation in 1972, Van began teaching and coaching at East Ascension High and was married to Kathy Pasqua of Gonzales. Whereas Van and Kathy raised 4 lovely children, Lauren Lambert Avery, Jake Lambert, Ann Lambert Roche, and Mark Lambert, and now enjoy their 4 grandchildren, Lola Avery, Eli Avery, William Ross, and Rebecca Ross. And whereas serving as head football coach and athletic director at EA from 1981 to 1988, Van's team won 2 district championships, were district runner-ups 3 times, and reached the playoffs 5 years. And whereas in 1988, Van was named East Ascension Teacher of the Year and served 13 years in the administration of the Ascension Parish school system. Whereas following retirement from coaching in 1989 and concluding his distinguished school system career as principal of Santamar Middle, Van remains an active member of the community by serving in various capacities, while also joining the prestigious institution as a member of the Spartan Hall of Fame. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, I, Tommy Martin, as President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority in me, do hereunto proclaim Thursday, November 19th, 2015, as Van James Lambert Day in Ascension Parish, and make him an honorary parish president on this day, urging our citizens to accord him all the respect and honor due to an honorary holder of this high office. Van?
Thank you, Thank you, Tommy. Good. Thank you, Tommy. If I'd have known it would be my special day, I wouldn't have to be doing all those things Miss Kathy told me to do all day today. But thank you very much. I want to especially thank my family for the support they've given me over the years. Especially thank my wife, Kathy, for allowing me to do the things that she's allowed me to do. I just saw the sheriff just left, and last fall, he called me a panhandler. And he said, you run around here like a panhandler trying to get things for kids and people and stuff. And it's been a great, great pleasure to try to help everyone in our community. We have a great giving community. Not a lot of places like this in the world, so we are especially thankful for that. And Luke Marshall and I are, again, in March, getting to visit the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So I guess my little nickname of being a panhandler will be coming back around to everyone. So get your wallets and your checkbook ready, and we'll be around to see people, to try to help people who are a lot less fortunate than us. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Van. And we're going to bring Iva up next, so if you'd like to stay up here and kind of help me out. Yeah, we will together.
We're going to get them back, Tommy, for a picture.
All right, Miss Iva Lambert Touye Day.
Yeah, Iva Touye Day, November 20th.
Okay. To proclaim Friday, November 20th, 2015, as Iva Lambert Touye Day in Ascension Parish. Whereas Iva Lambert Touye, a lifelong resident of Ascension Parish, has dedicated her life to service in her community. Whereas Iva's love for her church is shown as she volunteers at Holy Rosary Catholic Church as a pastoral council member, a School of Religion volunteer, a council representative for finance, maintenance, and other committees, as a church environment group volunteer, a funeral choir member, bake committee member, and a greeter at Mass. And whereas Iva's passion to serve those in need is evident with her work with Alzheimer's Services of Capital Area as an education committee member and volunteer. Whereas Iva continues her drive to serve as a Louisiana Deaf Education Alliance member and a COOD speech instructor and consultant. And whereas education has always been a cornerstone of commitment for Iva as a member of the Louisiana Teachers Association and the secretary of the Ascension Retired Teachers Association, and whereas Iva is a member of Delta Kappa Gamma, education sorority member, and whereas serving in local health care, Iva is a member of the Board of Directors of the River Region Cancer Screening and Early Detection Center. Whereas Iva's love of life is also evident as she enjoys being a member and participant of Ascension Tennis Association and the Santa Monica Elementary Cajun Cookers. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed, I, Tommy Martin, as President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereunto proclaim Friday, November 20th, 2015, as Iva Lambert Touye Day in Ascension Parish, and make her an honorary parish president on this day, urging our citizens to accord her all respect and honor due to an honorary holder of this high office. Iva, thank you.
Wow. I appreciate that you appreciate. I too want to thank especially my husband Randy and my son Tate. And I have a family that I call on when I volunteer. They are who volunteers. So I want to thank them especially. After teaching for almost 25 years, I've been blessed to have good health, and I am so happy that I'm able to do the things that I do. I do appreciate the honor, and I hope that I can continue to work towards what Christ calls me to do, which is to help other people.
Hear, hear. Y'all can shake now.
I'm not sure where this goes.
Thank you.
We would like to have the families up here. We need the families up here. Come on, Carl. There you go.
Just a few of us are here.
Jay, can you come over?
It's a big family, isn't it?
Just a little bit of it.
Take two shots.
Well, on that table thing. Here's the microphone.
Real quick.
Leslie.
Right now, I'd like to give a few seconds to the prestigious member of that family, Councilman Kent Shake Snyder. Kent.
Well, I wanted to make sure and let everybody know, one of the hardest things about giving that proclamation was to pin Ava and Van down on a day that they actually had not volunteered for something. And we finally corralled them tonight, and we appreciate them. And all the things that Van does, a lot of it is pretty much documented. But yes, Miss Kathy, there's a lot of things he does that you don't know about, but it's all for the good. So our parish, and especially if anybody was involved with the fundraiser last week, is so special, and that's what makes Ascension Parish. And people talk about the roads and this and that and everything, but the reason people are moving in Ascension Parish is because of the people, and they will continue to do so as long as we still have the people with the attitude like we have. So thank y'all, great representatives.
Once again, thank you, whole family. Y'all are very, very much larger than what you're represented in this room this evening, and I know that, and great group of folks. Blessed to be raised with you guys. Right now, I'd like to get Mr. Charles Hoopy back up to the microphone, sir.
And Charles, I recently went to the Eagle Scout ceremony, and he was a fine young man. And in fact, last Friday night, I went to 2 other Eagle Scout ceremonies, and it's very important that we attend those ceremonies, because you are the future, and you don't ever hear anything bad about Eagle Scouts or anybody else. Once an Eagle, so like an Eagle, always an Eagle. Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout. So, Charles, I'd like to just maybe tell the audience what your community project was.
My community project, the Eagle Scout project, was, we have to name them, and I named mine Food for All. I organized 2 food drives with the help of the Troop 65 and all the volunteers that came to help me. We donated food to St. Mark's Church and Holy Rosary Church. It kind of represents, I think it's another example of how the community is very giving. We did raise a lot of food. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Charles, and we appreciate it. And Charles moved here, I think, from not Blackman's, St. Bernard Parish after Hurricane Katrina. So him and his grandmother and grandfather and whole family moved and decided to stay. So we're proud that you did so and becoming a fine, outstanding young man in our community. Thank you so much, Charles, for coming today.
All right, right now, we another proclamation to proclaim National Hospice Palliative Care Month in Ascension Parish. And we have Miss Terry Caillou. Would you come up to the microphone?
I'm
please,
glad
ma'am?
you tried it, Randy, before me, but
Well, I got
anyway.
flu out, so I could, that wasn't hard for me.
Okay. To proclaim November 2015 as National Hospice Palliative Care Month in Ascension Parish. Whereas hospice and palliative care empower people facing a serious or life-limiting illness to live as fully as possible, surrounded and supported by family and loved ones. Whereas hospice and palliative care professionals are dedicated to helping diverse communities access quality end-of-life care and are committed to removing barriers to accessing care. And whereas hospice and palliative care bring patients and family caregivers the highest quality care delivered by an interdisciplinary team of skilled professionals that include physicians, nurses, social workers, therapists, counselors, health aides, spiritual care providers, and others who make the wishes of each patient and family a priority. Whereas every year more than 1.5 to 1.6 million Americans living life-limited illnesses and their families received care from the nation's hospice programs throughout the United States. And whereas hospice and palliative care providers encourage all people to learn more about options of care, to share their wishes with family, loved ones, and with their health care professionals. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed, I, Tommy Martin, as President of the Parish of Ascension State, Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority vested in me to proclaim November 2015 as National Hospice Palliative Care Month in Ascension Parish, and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of the care at the end of life, and to observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. Terry.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. My name is Terry Caillou. That was very close. I'm with Life Source Hospice and have been with them for about 5 years. We have been serving Ascension Parish for a little over 12 years now. And again, hospice is such an important role. I think a lot of people still have a lot of misconceptions with hospice. So allowing us to come and do some education, and we have some information here with y'all too, is so wonderful, because at the end of life, it's so hard to do research when you're going through something like that. So, getting the education early on and knowing that there is somebody out there that can hold the hands of the families and the patient, your loved ones, throughout the whole process is so important. There's too many people who are doing this alone. So we really appreciate the fact that we can come out and just introduce ourselves and be able to recognize this. Thank you so much.
With that, Parish President, we'll move in agenda item number 6, your report, Parish President's report.
One thing I want to do is wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and hope to have a safe and happy holiday season.
Thank you. Same to you, sir. All right, we'll move into agenda item number 7. Chair would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr.
We
Chairman.
have a motion by Mr. Satterley.
Second.
Second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move to agenda item number 8, a bid for reinforced concrete pipe and arch pipe. Ms. Shivers?
On October 15, 2015, the Purchasing Department received 3 bids for reinforced concrete pipe and arched pipe. After review, the Purchasing Department and DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Quality Site Work Materials and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Cazzo,
Second.
second by Mr. Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 9, change order number 2, CDBG, project 4-H improvements. Contract sum to be increased by $88,883.92 to be paid out of the grant. Ms. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member of the council. On July 2nd, we came to you and asked you to approve a construction change directive, which represents the post-tension, and it was an estimate. So we are now coming back with the full change order as a result of taking the time and material, the actual fees.
We have a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Malonson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martha. We'll move on to agenda item number 10, condemnation proceedings, 3548 Highway 1, Donaldsonville. Mr. Lance Brock.
Yes, sir. I believe you have the timeline in front of you, and what we're asking is for you to proceed with this condemnation on this property.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 11, approval of not international. We ain't going that far.
We ain't going that far.
Approval of intergovernmental agreement between Ascension Parish Communications District and Ascension Parish Fire District Number 1 for costs associated with programming, maintenance, dispatch, and tower services for radio communication systems.
We've already approved this for us. What happened is the two fire districts signed the agreement, and the parish president has to sign. So we put number 11 and 12 on the agenda for you to approve it so he can sign it.
Good deal. We have a motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 12, approval of intergovernmental agreement between Ascension Parish Communications District and Ascension Parish Fire District 3 for costs associated with programming, maintenance,
Motion to approve.
dispatch, and tower services for radio communication systems. We have a motion by Mr. Satterley,
Second.
second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move to agenda item number 13, change order number 4, governmental complex, increase of $1,695 for changes of TV studio room. Mr. Dawson. We're going to yield to Mr. Enlow, our engineer.
Thank you, Ken. Chairman, council members, this is a small change to the studio room. There was a mistake. There's a 12-outlet plug that was put on the video recording part of the room. I guess it would be like putting it on this wall instead of in that wall where Mr. Connolly sits. And motion. So.
We have a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 14, approval of certificate of substantial completion for Ascension Parish Governmental Complex. Mr. Enlow.
Yeah, so we're requesting your approval for substantial completion. Got a few items left, some punch list items, and we're going to be walking through, I think, next week early and getting all those items listed. And I think we're about to the end of the road with the building, so.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Shakespeare,
Second.
second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition? Yes, Mr. Joseph.
I just want to know what day we're going to cut that ribbon, or? I think we have it scheduled for December the 17th at 10:30.
Okay.
All right.
That looks
And we're
awesome.
going to, next, I think December the 3rd, we're going to cut the ribbon on the Public Works Building in Donaldsonville and the spray park.
I'll be there. I'll be there for that.
I hope that you're there for
I'll
that.
be there.
After
Okay.
all
Well,
these years.
I'd hope you'd be there for this also.
President Martin, are we doing the pond jump?
right now,
We doing the pond jump on the 17th? No, okay.
I only had one pond jump in me, and that was in 1974.
Also, we should be soon maybe cutting a ribbon on Edenborn Connector We're going to actually put it out for bids in the near future, so.
Here, here.
Hey, great job.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move into agenda item number 15, planning and zoning recommendations. Item number 15, zoning review ID 2546.15. Lot 1 of Walker Place for Jeff Walker, located on the north side of Weber City Road, approximately 3,200 feet east of Roddy Road, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from rural to medium-intensity residential. Zoning Commission recommends denial. We have 3 speakers on this. All right. Let's see. Well, I was going to call up the speakers. Ms. Pat Russo. School Board Member Pat Russo.
How you doing? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My husband and I are 100% against rezoning the Walker property from rural to medium-intensity residential. We own the property adjacent to the Walker property. We understand that it was rezoned rural in or around 2005 and that some property value may have been lost due to this. We are not concerned about this. We bought our property because of the rural setting and would like it to remain that way. As the Walker property stands now, 2 homes per acre can be built. That means at least 40-something homes could be added. We already have major issues with drainage, and I know by building these homes it could possibly cause problems. But changing the zoning from 2 homes to 3 homes would be devastating to adjacent landowners concerning drainage. Also, traffic is a major concern, and this property is located in a curve that has seen many accidents. Please don't make this about profit for one landowner. We are more concerned with preserving the property to leave as a legacy to our children and grandchildren. None of our neighbors support changing the rezoning, and we hope that you will agree with the Planning and Zoning Commission and deny the zoning request. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Patricia Melanson. Ms. Melanson.
Hello, my name is Patricia Melanson. I live across the street from the Walker property at 42331 Weber City Road. I have lived there for 49 years. I've been associated with this place for 70 years. My parents lived there with my grandparents till they got a place of their own. And I've lived on this land since 1966. This has been a great place to raise my family and to live. And the last few years have been troubling because of the rain. Every time when there's a considerable amount of rain going to happen, you have to start worrying about whether the water's going to come up to the top of the ditch or not. It affects my washing, my bathing, my bathroom facilities, because when the water's up, you can't flush or run or fill up water or anything. When these events happen, it makes you worry. Every time you worry about whether I've cleaned out my drainage ditches good enough so that the water will go out of my yard and back into the ditch, or if the ditch is too high, it won't go away at all. And I just appreciate y'all looking at this matter and considering that I would like to live there for a long time more, and my son lives directly behind me. And I just appreciate y'all considering that this might not be a good thing for the people that live all around this property. And I thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melanson. Next we have Mr. Paul Melanson.
Good evening, council members, parish officials. Paul Melanson. It kind of worked better if Randy got to talk first, but my narrative to keep everything straight will start. I am here to speak against the rezoning of the Walker property located on Weber City Road. I've attended all of the zoning commission meetings, even one where the developer pulled it from the zoning commission requesting rezoning, another where the family requested rezoning to a multi 3 lots per acre. And during these initial meetings, they presented several plats diagramming 29 50-foot lots, 19 60-foot lots, 14 70-foot lots, and 7 80 and 90-foot lots. So, a total of 69 lots on this acres. And I understand that's what the parish allows with the new subdivision requirements. But as we said, this property was rezoned as rural in 2003, and at that time, that was the request of all the landowners in that swath of land that Mr. Anderson is going to talk about in a few moments, and that it changed those things. But it was at the request of the property owners in those areas, and the larger landowners have had no problems with that either since that time. Ascension Parish staff is on record for opposing the rezoning of the Walker property. They've cited, and this is not just our concerns, this is the parish staff, from traffic concerns concerning the curve, line of sight issues, speeding issues that have been documented by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, drainage issues, things that you guys hear all the time. But again, we live it. We live there. The Ascension Parish Zoning Commission, although it's only a recommendation, did vote 4-2 to deny their request. The property, we've talked about the property that on it is 23.4 acres, I believe. The adjacent landowners, the Russos, own 25 acres to the eastern side. Mr. Leon Smith, who's on his way here, they own 12 acres, I believe, to the eastern side of it, and all of their properties drain through this. And there are 2 large ditches currently that exist on the Walker property that are maintained by the parish, large ditches that drain those adjacent properties that also sheet plain. There's water that drains into that area also. So additionally, we had concerns about the drainage issues. I mentioned there were no outcries from local landowners looking to reverse the rural designation. And as Ms. Russo mentioned, we believe that it's not the parish council's objective to increase a person's property value by rezoning it for use to maximize the profit of a landowner or developer just for the
Please wrap it up, Paul.
I'm trying, sorry, blew it.
That's all
For the
right.
growth of the
That's all
parish
right.
along the
You only
master
get one
plan
shot,
and
so
not
you
the
can-
spot zone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. All right, we have one final speaker, Mr. Randy Anderson, on behalf of the Walker family. I would have let you go first, Randy, but I just got your card up.
No, that's okay. That's all right. That's fine. My name is Randy Anderson. I work for Realty Executives. We represent the Walker family. This request is to return the zoning to what it was prior to 2003. Nearly 100 years ago, 250 acres owned by John E. Walker in that vicinity were divided among family members. Subsequently, 1 acre was subdivided out for one grandchild. And in 2012, we were hired to market this property. In 2003, as has been spoken about before, the parish had some concerns, as they do still today, about developing properties. And some concerned residents came before the council and asked for rezoning. Specifically, in my memory, was to over a matter concerning lakes at Sanamon, which was, in the meantime, approved. This rural piece is only north of Weber City Road, where the Melançons live is actually medium intensity, directly across the highway. Rather arbitrarily, I know you guys are familiar with the zoning map. I've referred to it before as a swath that goes all the way to the city of Gonzales, which certainly is not rural. There's a 50-year-old subdivision named Catherinedale that's included in this area, and Lakes at Sanamon is included in this area, which is certainly of medium density. The decision did, in fact, immediately devalue the property by 1/3 for the Walker family, for the heirs of Mr. Walker. He chose to invest in property rather than other investment options. And what the family is asking is that the parish consider returning the zoning to medium intensity as it was prior to 2003. This agenda item is not asking for a development. There will be time for that should this be authorized by the council tonight. It has really nothing to do with drainage or traffic or the other items that I understand certainly why it concerns people. I live in this parish too. But this is about a fairness issue and a property rights issue where people who were not contacted and are not contacted today when zoning is about to be changed on their properties. If this question is denied, the land will still be sold and it will be developed under the existing rural code without public hearings, without drainage or traffic studies, without subdivision covenants designed to protect property values. So I ask what could be placed on the property that the opposing neighbors are not even considering at this time. And I certainly would like for the council to consider that. Tonight, the Walker family simply asked for fairness. They are asking for the zoning of their property to be returned to the original status. And I would ask you to join them by recommending to the parish, well, by acting as the parish council, that their designation and their investment value be returned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Once again, this is zoning review.
Mr. Chairman, can we have Mr. Brock come up and give us a little
Yes.
review on why?
Lance, could you come up? What, Mr. Longson, it's your district.
Yeah.
What
I know
questions do you
had
have?
some, you were actually involved in 2003 when it was changed, so I wanted to kind of explain what happened there, and then also I know it's been through the zoning committee and
Right.
planning committee a couple times, and so if you can give us the reasons, I know it was
Denied.
not recommended and
Sure.
denied, so.
Basically, back in 2003, really before that probably, they had some individuals come to the parish and petition for an area that they drew out and basically got the landowners in that area, and they petitioned for their properties to be designated as rural. They submitted that petition to the commission. The commission had a public hearing on it, went to the council, and the council made that decision to make that change. And it was an area that was done. I want to say it's probably from Bayou Northeast Road coming down south to Weber City Road and coming back back toward Roddy and Church Point in that area. But what it did is that the individuals in that area, the landowners, petitioned for it, submitted it to the commission. The commission had a hearing on it, and it went to the council, and it made that change. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Would the Walker family have been notified at that time?
Everyone in that area was, I can't say it was done as a whole area, to say that the Walker family was actually, themselves were notified, I'm not sure. But I can tell you that, as far as I know, everyone in that community would sign that petition. Can I say for sure that the Walker family did it? No, ma'am, I cannot. But
And can you give us some of the reasons why
the
staff itself
yeah,
recommended
it's basically,
denial?
it's basically some of the reasons why some of the landowners or adjacent property owners came out. But the location of where it's located, drainage, traffic, those type of things, and just felt that at this time that it's what it's on now, it's what it should be, I guess you could say.
Thank you.
Quick question, Lance. So basically, there's things that the Walker family can do with the land right now.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Yes,
But
sir.
y'all objection was based on the intensity.
Yes, sir, correct. By increasing it from 2 to 3, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Other than that,
They're allowed to construct a subdivision. They're allowed to family. They're allowed to do those things. That's permitted.
Mr. Joseph.
Lance.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that petition that y'all had, no one kept a file of that? That wasn't a part of the file?
Yes, sir, it was.
So we can't verify that the Walker family was notified?
Right now, I cannot say that. So basically, we probably had that file, yes. I'd have to find it if we have it. But to know for sure if the Walker family was notified, I can't answer that.
Well, then, I mean, it's just me. I mean, we had this committee, and it's been there several times. Nobody asked for the verification. of that
Petition?
petition?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lance?
Yes, sir.
Still in the hot seat, I guess.
Yes,
I realize, sir, you're not Nostradamus in any way, but would you be willing to predict if this council were to go against the staff recommendation for planning and zoning and allow the property to be rezoned, isn't it sort of likely that the Russos, that one of which was spoke here this afternoon, and other adjacent property owners who have not, for whatever reason, asked for the same treatment in the future? And, you know, because one of the big things that happens here, obviously, and it was sort of mentioned, is this would increase the value of the property greatly.
Yes, sir.
Would it not? And
Yes, sir.
and you want to predict, I mean, are we going to be here again with the next one and the next one? That whole area is going to change complexion from rural as a result to, and while I have empathy of what happened in 2003 somewhat, but it's going to change to medium residential, and we're going to have just a bunch of subdivisions there, and it may or may not be a bad thing, but there are the traffic issues, there are the drainage issues, and this could just be step one, right?
It's possible, yes, sir.
Okay, and then a follow-up question, let's see. I just want to remind the staff and everyone of the actual language of the recommendation. It's just a short sentence, put it in the record. Is nothing has changed between the first request and this request. I guess the one that's in front of us this evening. Staff maintains a recommendation to deny due to inconsistency of existing zoning. Would you go as far as this, label this as spot zoning?
I wouldn't exactly say it's spot zoning, but it could become that, because basically where it's located at this time, like I stated, being in the curve, having some drainage issues, and the location of where it is, and the adjacent property owners being on those sides, being rural at this time, that's what we feel that it should be at this point.
Okay, if you won't go as far as to say it's spot zoning, would you give me a formal definition of spot zoning? It's just a professor.
Yeah, I understand. To me, it would be something that you would rezone something that's not adjacent to that, and it would basically be something that would be done for someone that shouldn't be done, I guess you could say, or it's in the middle, you're changing a zone in the middle of something for a particular use that you don't feel should be located at that location or on that property.
All right, thank you, sir. And one final question, I promise. The recommendations to the staff, and now the Planning and Zoning Commission, so everybody understands this process, is a recommendation to deny, and I heard it was a 4-2 vote. Unfortunately, I have not seen the tape of that meeting. I apologize to everyone.
It was 4-3, I think.
4-3?
Yes.
Probably so, yes.
Something like that.
Okay, but then the point would be, without having seen that, I'm wondering doesn't our land development code, because it's not in my packet, require a reason formally being stated as to why the zoning commission is recommending whatever it is they're recommending?
Yes, sir.
So what is that reason, since it's not in my packet?
The reason was is basically the decision or the recommendation from the staff, that inconsistency, the location where it is, the existing zoning.
Primarily inconsistency with existing zoning.
That's correct.
Is the telling reason.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Questions, I guess?
Mr. Malonson.
Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and make the motion that we accept the recommendation. For a lot of these reasons, I know Mr. Anderson said we're not voting on a subdivision today. We're voting on just the rezoning.
That's
But
it.
we've seen Doc's documented it quite a bit in articles and different things that our planning and zoning committee right now on a lot of subdivisions don't feel that they really have the power to turn down a subdivision that meets all the requirements. And so if we were to do this tonight, it would then meet the requirements, and there's a good chance that higher density would get passed through. So in essence, we are really approving that development or not tonight. And so I make the motion to accept the recommendation
We have a
tonight.
motion to.
I'm going to second that.
Motion by Mr. Malonson, the second by Ms. Cazzo, to accept the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Department and the board to deny the rezoning. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Questions? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 16, introduction of ordinances. Introduction of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from conservation to light industrial, zoning review ID 2547.15, 37.957 acres of Hilton Idale property for industrial commercial property LLC located on the east side of St. Landry Road, approximately 3,800 feet south of LA 30.
Motion introduced.
We have a motion introduced by Mr. Satterley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? It's introduced.
Need to recognize Mr.
You better hurry.
Just real quick, Paula, before y'all walk out, we'd like to recognize Mr. Leon Smith for attending the meeting.
He drove way up here. How you doing, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, sir. We don't get a lot of opportunity to get you in front of us, sir. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 17. Introduction of an ordinance, SR 15-08, revision to the subdivision regulations in the Unified Land Development Code, Section 17-405, preliminary plat procedure. We have a motion introduced by Mr. Johnson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Satterley. Lance, could you come up here and give us a little brief of what this is? Give us the cliff notes for the audience. That's one thing we don't really get, for them to see exactly what everything is.
I'm sorry, this is,
I apologize.
You want me to answer it?
I might,
can.
Okay.
I want to
Which one is
step
it?
back. We had a speaker on
But the 60 days, going from 35 to 60
on
days.
16. You still wish to speak? You good? Thank you. And I'm sorry, we had discussion before the meeting, so I thought you didn't want to speak. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Lance. What
Yeah.
we doing with the preliminary plat procedure?
right, what we're changing is we're changing the dates for submittal from 35 days to 60 days for submitting preliminary plats to the Planning Commission for their reviews. And that's what we're doing, to give more time to for staff and also for engineering to review.
Didn't we, Councilman Shakes and I, we had a lot of discussion months ago about trying to staff up or do something? We still need that, this time frame extended?
Yes, sir, we do. Yes, sir.
Is it basically because of staff? I mean,
Yeah,
or
basically, yes, sir, it's for staff,
manpower?
mainly manpower, and just getting able to review the plat and to get it
To get a
done
better look
correctly.
at
Yes,
it?
sir, to get a better look at it, and have everything out. And that way, we can send stuff out, and we can get things back, because right now, by the time frame that they get their review, meaning the developer getting the information back to us, we don't have much time for the meeting to come up with or to give a
Mr. Sadler?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Lance, on the hot seat again. I accept your reason because you guys are sharper than tacks, but I'd just like to say,
That's a compliment?
yes, that is a
I
compliment.
just wanted to-
Let's everybody be certain that is a compliment. The second part will prove it. What I want to say is that, isn't it true that one of the reasons that we need to have this extension is because of the many more preliminary
correct.
plat proposals?
Yeah,
That's a
that's
tongue twister.
The volume.
the volume. Yeah,
That are
we're
coming
getting-
in because of the development in this parish. Just want to, is that
Correct.
right?
Yes, sir, we get maybe 4 or 5 preliminary plats every month now.
As compared to one or two?
One or two, maybe.
In the past?
In the
I
past.
remember that in the old days of being a commissioner.
Right.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
yeah.
And it was a compliment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Shake Snyder.
Yeah, thank you, Lance, and I understand doing this. I would like for you guys to put in your schedule that you would get you were talking about the little punch list and everything, that you would get that information back in a timely manner where whoever it is can take the time to respond back to y'all, because they do have to do some research. A lot of times they get these answers
And it's at last minute.
that they said, and you know, currently, I guess because of the time constraints, they're getting it at the last minute, then y'all getting it back at the last minute.
Correct.
So, we won't be accomplishing anything if we don't get it back to them in a timely manner. So if you could work up a schedule that you can go as policy or whatever, in general, that would help, I think, a lot.
Okay, yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions? Any objection? Is introduced. We'll move to agenda item number 18, introduction of ordinance DR 15-09, revisions to the drainage regulations in the Unified Land Development Code, section 17-5013, design criteria. Can you give us some notes on that, sir?
Yes, sir, I can try. This is a letter that we get to verify projects to complete for final approval. What it is that an engineer would sign off on a project stating that it was constructed to the way that it was supposed to be constructed.
Mhm.
And that way, that engineer is responsible to say, this is the way that it was constructed. Because sometimes what happens is that they can submit plans, they say it's going to be constructed, you go out there and look at it, and it's not constructed the way that they stated that it was supposed to be. So what this was, is this would hold them accountable for the engineer to sign off on it, like as-built, to say that this is what they're constructing.
Good deal.
Motion to introduce.
We have a motion by
Second.
Ms. Cazzo, second by Mr. Satterley. Any discussion?
One question.
Yes, Mr.
Lance,
Johnson.
I don't know if you can answer this question or not, so with that in mind, so are we verifying, we are sending people out, this part of this revision is the fact that we're gonna go out there and verify, even though this guy is responsible for it.
Right.
Somebody's gotta make sure it's actually done before any major construction is done on, in case changes need to be done. I mean, it's not something that we're going back after
No.
the fact.
Correct.
Okay.
Someone's going out and verifying.
Very good.
Good deal. Any further discussion? Any opposition? It is introduced. Agenda item number 19, introduction of an ordinance SR 15-10, revision to the subdivision regulations in the Unified Land Development Code, section 17-4026.f, family petition. Can you give us some notes on this?
Let me address this because this was our recommendation.
Okay.
You have 180 days to transfer, but if there's an incident that occurs, like we had one occur where the attorney involved got sick and the document sat in his office, and the other one is, when there's an ongoing succession, sometimes they go on for years, and so you will not have a formal transfer until the succession is complete. So we put this, in, we recommended that be put in there.
I think Lance and them just had one in front of them.
Sure did. That had to
That's
come back.
involved in some litigation, and it's kind of tricky, and it'll come to us one day, but I mean, it's kind of tricky whether the actual petition is part of the litigation or not.
Correct.
So moved. We have a motion by Ms.
Second.
Shakes, not a second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed. We'll move on to public hearing ordinances. Agenda item number 20, reading of ordinance to adopt and amend the 2015 budget and the 2016 budget for the Parish Ascension. Mr. Parrington.
Yes, I would ask that before I read it, there's an amendment to it in the grant flood mitigation. There's a decrease of $325,000 for revenue that was inadvertently budgeted to be received in 2015, but was actually received in a prior year. So I'd like to ask that I be allowed to read the amended budget, and I think you have received a copy of that. So I need a motion to that.
Move.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms. Cazzo. Any discussion? Any opposition?
Whereas a revision of certain budgets for the 2015 budget year for certain funds has been prepared and submitted to the council as follows: 2015 general minus $164,000, that's the operating surplus. Fund balance $8,530,510. Road and bridge, deduct $98,500. Surplus, fund balance, $834,546. East Ascension major drainage, negative $3,972,200 for a fund balance of $36,620,364. West Ascension Drainage, deduction of $350,000 for a fund balance of $1,346,077. Sales and use tax, add $901,000 for a fund balance of $18,720,026. Criminal court, add $38,500 for a fund balance of a negative $879,329. Health unit, add $39,000 for a fund balance of $3,593,484. Mental health, add $371,500 for a fund balance of $4,835,220,000. Fire District Number 2, deduct $140,500 for a fund balance of $1,362,396. Recreation, deduct $2,326,000 for a fund balance of $3,114,776. Lighting District Number 1, add $300 for a fund balance of $330,433. Lighting District Number 2, add $24,600 for a fund balance of $160,624. Lighting District Number 3, add $6,500 for a fund balance of $169,456. Lighting District Number 4, add $12,600 for a fund balance of $113,004. Lighting District Number 5, add $5,600 for a fund balance of $1,115,498. Lighting District Number 6, deduct $550,500 for a fund balance of $1,409,528. Lighting District Number 7, add $2,500 for a fund balance of $53,634. Library Bond Fund, deduct $26,000 for a fund balance of $377,400. LCDBG Lemonville Sewer Project, 0 for a fund balance of $89,893. Lamar Dixon Expo Center, deduct $377,000 for a fund balance of $1,181,215. SNU tax sinking, operating surplus of $94,000, fund balance of $774,886. East Ascension major sinking, deduct $82,000 for a fund balance of $599,917. East Ascension construction fund, deduct $4,433,000 for a fund balance of $19,084,152. Road construction project fund, deduct $4,955,000 for a fund balance of $14,683,155. Equipment install purchase debt service, 0. Ascension Jail Fund, deduct $124,500 for a fund balance of $424,610. Law Offices Court Fund, deduct $10,000 for a fund balance of $39,242. Office Building Construction Fund, deduct $6,203,000 for a fund balance of $478,124. Ascension Parish Insurance Fund, deduct $744,500 for a fund balance of $2,083,381. HUD Section 800. Fire District Number 1, add $1,075,000 for a fund balance of $8,185,041. Council on Aging, add $2,300 for a fund balance of $1,668,195. Sales Tax District Number 2 Fund, add $500 for a fund balance of $127,963. Sales and Use Tax District Sinking, add $500 for a fund balance of $407,836. 23rd Judicial District Fins, add $26,000 for a fund balance of $41,776. Fire District Number 2 Construction Fund, add $240,000 for a fund balance of $240,000. Fire District Number 1 Construction Fund, deduct $25,000 for a fund balance of $176,902. Bayou Terrace Fund, 0 for a fund balance of $24,484. West Ascension Drainage Sinking Fund, add $4,500 for a fund balance of $4,500. Water Wastewater Fund, add $576,000 for a fund balance of $71,062. Ascension Parish Maintenance Fund, add $71,000 for a fund balance of $792,824. Dental Insurance Fund, deduct $21,000 for a fund balance of $87,107. FEMA Repetitive Loss Required Elevations, add $113 for a fund balance of $1,182,681. Fire District Number 3, deduct $31,500 for a fund balance of $9,325,600. Fire District Number 1 Reserve, deduct $115,960 for a fund balance of $0. Fire District Number 1 Sinking Fund, add $28,000 for a fund balance of $144,654. Fire District Number 3 Construction, add $1,294,000 for a fund balance of $1,787,768. ACUD Number 2, deduct $6,068,000 for a fund balance of $2,123,962. Community Development Block Grant, add $46,500 for a fund balance of $241,089. Hazard Mitigation Grant Fund, deduct $150,500 for a fund balance of $4,486. Fleet Management Fund, add $201,500 for a fund balance of $1,025,777. Oak Grove Construction Fund, add $0 for a fund balance of $41,474. CDBG Construction Fund, deduct $336,000 for a fund balance of $42,971. Park Construction, add $1,842,500 for a fund balance of $1,992,969. ACUD Number 1, deduct $224,500 for a fund balance of $71,326. ACUD Number 1 Sinking Fund, deduct $500 for a fund balance of $142,948. ACUD Number 1 Reserve Fund, add $0 for a fund balance of $392,734. Lighting District's Construction Fund, deduct $196,000 for a fund balance of $304,597. Whereas a proposed operating budget for the year 2016 includes revenues of $99,523,000, expenditures of $81,461,500. The capital budget includes revenues of $17,618,000 plus required fund balance of $26,969,000 for a total to equal $44,587,000 and expenditures of $51,026,500. Therefore, the total operating and capital budget revenues plus required fund balance equal $132,488,000 and expenditures equal $132,488,000. Interfund transfers are $46,144,000. Whereas the Ascension Parish Council has reviewed and considered such a proposed budget, made revisions of the same, and whereas the proposed budget is duly set after proper notice to the public for public hearing, which was held on November 19, 2015, as required by the revised statute of the State of Louisiana and Ascension Parish Home Rule Charter. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council of the State of Louisiana that the amended budgets are prepared for 2015 are approved and appropriated by the Ascension Parish Council with the stipulation that transfer for the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 to the General Fund and Road and Bridge Fund, the amount necessary to remain fund balance fund, but will not exceed the amount authorized in the budget. Recreation Fund is allocated 10% of the net 1% Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 revenues as an additional source of funding. Funding is also provided by the allocations to the Sales and Use Tax Number 1 Bond Sinking Fund and FIN's Families in Needs of Services. To the extent that the resulting revenues of the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 exceed expenditures and transfers, and after such adequate fund balance is maintained, then such excess shall be transferred 25% to ACUD Number 2 Fund and 75% to the General Fund. B, 1/3 of the net sales and use tax of District 2 revenues collected for the fire protection shall be shared by the Ascension Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 at 65%, by Ascension Parish Fire District Number 2, 13%, and by the Ascension Parish Fire District, Number 3, 22%. All unexpended appropriations will lapse at December 31st, 2015. That the budget proposed for the year 2016 is approved and adopted and appropriated with the following provisions. Expenditures not contemplated in the operation of the government of Ascension Parish as set forth in this budget are to be approved in accordance with the provisions of Article 7, Section 701 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish. Transfer from the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 to the General Fund and the Road and Bridge Fund in the amount necessary to maintain the balance fund, but will not exceed the amount authorized in the budget. The Recreation Fund is allocated 10% of the net 1% sales and use tax District Number 1 revenues as additional source of funding. Funding is also provided by the allocation to Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 Sinking Fund and Fins Families and Needs of Services. To the extent that the resulting revenues of the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 exceed expenditures and transfers, and after such adequate fund balance is maintained, then such excess will be transferred 100% to ACUD Number 2 Fund. C, 1/3 of the net Sales and Use Tax District Number 2 revenues collected for fire protection shall be shared by the Ascension Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 at 65%, by Ascension Parish Fire District Number 2 at 13%, and Ascension Parish Fire District Number 3 at 22%. Funding to be provided for the 2015 encumbrance is hereby approved and appropriated. All unexpected appropriations will lapse December 31st, 2016. This ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Good job. Motion to open public hearing.
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Alonso. Second by Mr. Johnson.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Mr.
Second.
Sadler. Second by Mr. Alonso.
Motion to move the ordinance.
We have a motion to move the ordinance by
Second.
Mr. Johnson. Second by Mr. Schicksniner. Any discussion? Any opposition? It is approved. We'll go to agenda item number 23, reading of ordinance to update rental charges at Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Take
That
your
was a
ti-
little long-winded.
That was a long one.
Take your time, sir.
All right. To amend the ordinance adopted November 5th, 2009, amended on December 17th, 2009, June 3rd, 2010, June 2nd, 2011, and April 3rd, 2014 for the governing authority and for the parish, providing for certain administrative functions relative to the continued operation and maintenance at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center, subject to certain restrictions. Whereas the Charter of the Parish of Ascension, Sections 6-01, requires an ordinance for all acts that regulate the rate or other charges for services provided by the parish and all amendments to those acts. Whereas an ordinance authorizing the Parish of Ascension to assess and collect certain fees for the operation of Lamar Dixon Expo Center was adopted by the Ascension Parish on November 5th, 2009, and amended December 17th, 2009 meeting, at June 2011 meeting, and at the April 3rd, 2014 meeting. And whereas the Charter of the Parish of Ascension, Section 601, requires an ordinance for all acts that regulate the rate for other charges or services provided by the parish. Therefore, be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council, the governing authority in and for the Parish of Ascension, does hereby supplement the fee schedule previously adopted by amending fees for the operation of Lamar Dixon Expo Center as follows. Effective January 1, 2016, the following rental rates will apply. For each building rental will be $2,500 per day. Savoy Arena for ticket events will be $1,000 per day. Savoy Arena for non-ticketed events will be $650 a day. All other rates and fees of the original ordinance adopted November 5th, 2009, and amended by December 17th, 2009, on June 3rd, 2010, on June 2nd, 2011, and on April 3rd of 2014 remain unchanged. The ordinance had been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Open a public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Sadler. Second by Mr. Malonson.
Motion to close.
Motion closed by Mr. Sadler.
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson.
Motion move the ordinance.
Motion moved the ordinance by Mr. Malonson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sadler. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move to agenda item number 26, reading of an ordinance to revoke the existing 15-foot servitude running along the south lines of lots 2A and 2B1-B of the Pyron petition for Rutco Agency.
Ready?
Yes,
To
sir.
revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located on the south lines of Lot 2A and Lot 2B1B of the Pyron partition for Rutco Agency property as depicted on McLennan Associates plat map and recorded in the public records of Ascension Parish, instrument number 00814356. Whereas the petitioner is petitioning the Ascension Parish Council to revoke the existing drainage servitude on Lot 2A and 2B1B of the Pyron petition for Rutco Agency. Property is depicted on the McLennan Associates plat map recorded in the public records of Ascension Parish and instrument number 00814356, and whereas the Planning Department, Engineering Department, and all the relevant utility companies have reviewed and researched the request and have no objection to the revocation and relocation. The Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants the approval of the revocation of existing drainage servitude on lots 2A and 2B, 1B of the Power on Partition for Rutco Agency Parish property depicted on the McLennan Associates plat map recorded in the public records of Ascension Parish at instrument number 00814356 attached to it and made a part hereof. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. In the event any ordinance is held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect the remaining provisions and shall be given full effect without invalid provisions. And to this end, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. The effective date of this ordinance shall be 15 days from adoption. The ordinance hereby submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Open the public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Sadler.
Second.
Second by Mr. Joseph.
Motion to close.
Motion
Second.
closed by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Joseph.
Move the ordinance.
Motion to move
Second.
the ordinance by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. Before we move on to agenda item number 29, I just want to remind everybody out there, Saturday, we got some very important elections in the state of Louisiana. I'd stress to everybody, exercise your rights as a United States citizen and go out and vote. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. With Mr. Malonzo, motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? Any opposition? We are adjourned.